Welcome to Mindful Me. I'm your host, Dr. Marga Zarraga, family medicine physician and wellness coach based in Greater Boston in Needham and Massachusetts. This health and wellness show was born out of the needs I saw as a medical doctor. People are curious and are even demanding information and options on how to get healthier, and more importantly, how do we all improve our quality of life? And quality of life is simply, how do I feel good from moment to moment, minute to minute, hour to hour, and day to day? It is my goal to highlight to you, our viewers at home, the knowledge and experience of various experts from both mainstream and complementary disciplines to inspire action in our communities in the areas of self-care and self-development, physically, mentally, and energetically. Today's guest is Miranda Cohen, founder of Urban-Fringe Dating. Miranda Cohen has founded Urban-Fringe Dating, a dating and romance community with an emphasis on emotional intelligence. She is a mother of three whose business supports others along their journey to self-discovery by creating a strong foundation for their dating lives through individualized services centered around inner happiness and health. This episode, I'm calling it Dating with Intention. So, you are a wealth resource for all those folks dating out there, whatever age that may be. If you guys didn't catch it, we have another episode for Stories of Self-Care where we introduce Miranda Cohen. But in this episode, we're now focusing more on what you have learned that have been most useful in guiding people. So why don't you tell us again, what are mostly people scared of, fearful of as they enter the dating scene, whatever age that may be?
So pretty much across the board, I see a lot of fear of rejection. I see a lot of fear of not finding their person. Then it goes from there into kind of more personal reasons for different people. But I'd say those are two of the biggest that I see pretty commonly.
And what do you think has been, first of all, baby steps? I always believe in what I call minis or baby steps. What do you think kind of switches or turns on when they speak to you like, how can I shift from the fear? What do you see?
So I tend to see, first of all, it's not an easy shake. Those are some big ones. So I see a lot of it's like the light bulb's there, but it's like on dim. Like they see it, but they're not sure it's for them yet. And it's one of those things that I like to remind everybody that I touch in that way, that this isn't an overnight thing, right? You've gone however many years,
yes.
Whether you're at the beginning of your dating journey or towards the end, with having this belief. So figuring out and really showing yourself that it's okay. Specifically when talking about like the fear of rejection, I get it, right? I as I mentioned in the other episode, I had never been on online dating before, so any kind of rejection I hadn't dealt with. I had men ask me out, and I said yes or no. I hadn't been on the other end of it, so it was a fear of mine. But once I just kind of got through it, and especially when I started to, if I was rejected, just to go, okay, it's their loss.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that it's me. It means that we weren't the right fit, or whatever else was going on for that person at the time. Stopping making stories about how I wasn't good enough or something like that. And it took time for me to figure that out, so then expressing it to people who aren't figuring it out on their own, having to kind of say, this is it, you're going to figure this out, this is what you're going to do to get there, is definitely, like I said, it's a bit of a tangled journey, but you ultimately see that as they continue to just push through and see that, like, oh yeah, it doesn't actually, it's not as looming and scary of a thing as I imagine it to be.
So one of the things that are coming to me right now is the nuances of online dating versus, the, I guess, traditional. So what, I think you have a very clear picture of what the difference is.
Yeah.
What is that?
Traditional, kind of old school dating was meeting somebody either through friends, through family, at the coffee shop. You'd be out and about and you would ask somebody out, which I think has its merits still. I don't think it's something that needs to be completely thrown away, but it does also limit you to who your friends know, who your family knows, who was at the coffee shop that day. And then there's online dating, which opens up so many more possibilities, which is nice because, perhaps there's somebody who really fits more with what you're looking for, but then also takes away that kind of more personal piece of meeting in person first or hearing about them from your friends. And so I think that's where the struggle is for a lot of people, is figuring out how to navigate between those two worlds that we're now plunged into this kind of newer one, especially post-pandemic, right? People still aren't going out to the same amount of things as they used to be. So it's just not, even as many people would like to bring that kind of back, it's not, at least not right now, it's not coming back full. So I think being able to find a way to make it feel a little bit more personalized, and then, like I said, recognizing that not you've got these thousands of people now all of a sudden, instead of the two in the coffee shop, you've got 1,000 people ahead of you, right? Recognizing that some of them aren't going to be for you. Recognizing that you might make a good friend, or, you might go out and have a great date and realize that there wasn't that romantic connection, but, you had a great time. I think that's a huge thing that I see, is how many people just go, oh, it wasn't the right person, and so now I have to do it again. But did you have a good time? Did you get dressed up and you went out and you did something that you weren't going to do that night? Looking at the positives and taking that with you really changes the direction of how you look at things.
I love the positivity, Miranda. So please watch out, ladies and gents. Stay tuned, and we will be back with Dating with Intention.
The Needham Channel is a community-based television organization that pretty much covers everything in Needham. We cover a lot of different municipal meetings like town meetings, select board, school committee, a lot of high school sporting events up at Needham High School, basketball, football, baseball, lacrosse, soccer, pretty much everything. We have a live newscast every Thursday night, and we pretty much cover a lot of different events with a lot of different organizations. And we're also here for anyone who's interested in learning about television to learn about television. A volunteer here at the Needham Channel can really expect to learn about anything they want. Whether it's being on camera, being behind the camera, learning how to edit, really anything involved in the creative process of television, it's really only hampered by their own imagination and creativity. What really makes the Needham Channel special is the people, whether it be the people out in the community that we work with or our staff. It's really just an amazing experience.
Welcome back. We are here with Miranda Cohen for Dating with Intention on Mindful Me. So Miranda, you were just getting to the juicy part. I was just complimenting you how you bring that positivity to otherwise what could be a stressful process. Would you say, what is like, I guess, one of the more highly fulfilling experiences of dating that make people say, I'm gonna stick with this? When I say stick with this, obviously if they hit the home run and met the quote unquote soulmate, Soulmate is another conversation, I'm sure. But anyway, I was gonna say, what are some of the moments that people experience with or without your guidance, just from your entire knowledge base, like that affirm that yes, I can continue, I can do this.
So for sure, it's when they start to realize that it doesn't have to be this horrific thing, right? I think so much of it is mindset. It's not 100%, obviously there are outside factors that can contribute, but so much of it is how you go into it. You know, I've been on dates where I would never go on that date again, but I don't regret any of it. You know, it's my mindset is I'm out here to date, and especially if you're looking at it from the perspective of meeting my forever person. What if there was like a crystal ball that told you that you've got 100 more dates and then you're going to meet your person? Wouldn't you love to get through those awful dates and just get to that person, you know? So that's the way I kind of try to look at things, is that there's an experience here. It was either fun or it was interesting. It's going to make a great story,
Yes,
you know?
yeah.
Instead of thinking of it like, oh, I'm going to have to do this again with somebody else. And because then you start to feel like there's nobody out there. And I see that so much. And it just, to me, that's like the worst thing to see, when people lump everybody, you know, oh, all men are like this, all women are like that. And it's not, you don't even realize it's the mindset that you've created. That's what you're seeing.
So I very much relate to, mostly I deal with the mindset around health, a mindset around weight, healthy weight. You're dealing with all of these, this rejection self-talk that goes on, and just almost like Marie Kondoing their thoughts. Because I think I've said it before on this show, thoughts form beliefs and beliefs form actions.
Right.
And I honestly wanted to just point out like why your approach works is, first of all, there's a social connection between you and the person facing this dating challenge, if you will. And us humans, we are meant to connect. We're actually not meant to sort out this entire thing in isolation. Of course, some things we do alone, like meditation or in silence. But there are these things that when we need a different script in our minds, you like resonate with that positivity and that resilience through that process, and also the promise of, you know, a good outcome, where that might be the one date with a great experience, or just even if it's the wrong person but a great experience, that's all still positive. So that's also great. I wanted to just also ask, what do you think has been like some of the, I would say, most crucial tips around self-talk that you've given to folks? You've mentioned a couple already, but like things that you felt are repetitive in terms of how people put themselves down when they're trying to put themselves out there as well. Yeah.
So I find that one of my favorite things to have people do, and it's so funny how many of the women are kind of like, yeah, that makes sense, and how many of the men are like, this is very woo-woo. But affirmations. You know, starting off your day with just some positive self-talk. And I make sure that, you know, you're curating it for yourself, right? It's, I could give you an affirmation to speak and it might be helpful, but without knowing what your real needs are. So we get into that, and then saying it to themselves every day, you see the difference. You know, I've seen it in myself. That was another piece of my own journey that I just kept doing it and I didn't think it was working, you know, but I was like, I understood the psychology behind why it would work, so I just continued to do it. And it was funny because I forgot I'd fallen off for a while. And when I went to restart, I'd recorded myself, so I like listened to what the old ones were. And I realized that I had already manifested a lot of them. You know, that my subconscious had actually taken them in, even though I was sitting here being like, this isn't gonna work. You know, so and that's one of the things that I try to impress upon, especially, like I said, the men who are like, I don't know, affirmations. But you just don't even realize, you don't realize what you're saying to yourself and how awful it is until you start speaking kindly. And then you'll start to hear those not nice words and you can turn that around. And I would say that's probably the biggest piece, the first thing at least that I start with everybody on.
So I think I just want to point out something that just keeps on resonating with me speaking to you, that as much as dating involves another person, this is a lot about working on yourself.
Oh, 100%. So I actually call it dating yourself because I think you need to date yourself first before you can date somebody else. How do you expect someone to know how to treat you and date you and ultimately be happy in your life with you if you don't know how to do that on your own? You can't rely on somebody else. You never know, right? You find the person of your dreams and something tragic happens and you're plunged into being alone again. And what are you going to do? You're going to be relying on somebody who can't provide that anymore. You have to be able to pull it from within yourself first in order to have somebody compliment you in that life. And so, yeah, so you date yourself first.
But you also said here about dating your spouse. I just wanted to highlight that. That's a very interesting approach to marriage or committed relationship. What do you mean by dating your spouse? You said dating yourself, but you're also saying date your spouse. What do you mean by date your spouse?
So dating doesn't end with being single. You start dating and you maybe date other people when you're single, but then when you find your person, you don't, I mean, we all tend to, right? We all tend to run into this, like, this is my daily routine, I got the kids, I've got the dog, we have to go to the laundromat, you know, whatever it is. And you fall out of kind of romancing the other person. You know, maybe you've got like your anniversary vacation you'll take together or something, but what happened to that weekly date that you guys were doing in the beginning? That's gone to the wayside most of the time, and it shouldn't. It doesn't have to be something crazy and wild. It could literally be, one of my favorite things to do is going to like the local cheese shop and getting some cheeses and some crackers and whatever, and getting a nice bottle of wine, and just having, you know, that together after the kids go to bed. It's such an easy thing to do, but phones are down, you're engaged with each other, you're not bringing up like any of the, you know what you didn't do yesterday? You know, it's your date time, and just carve that time out, and you'll see a difference. You know, I feel like sometimes you get so caught up in the day-to-day stuff that you forget about that excitement you were talking about that comes with a date. Another thing that I love is if you plan the date and don't tell him what it is, and then do the opposite, you know, the next week. It's such a fun way to just have something to be excited about. What is it? What is it going to be? Especially if it's you pick something that you think he will really like, you know, and then he gets to pick something that you're going to really like, and sometimes you're like, that's what you think I like? But it's still, and then it encourages conversation. You know, about, oh, I like this part of it. I see why you thought that. Here's what I like. You know, I mean, you don't even realize how much you've been changing over the years that you're together, because you think you know that person inside and out, but they've been on their own journey alongside you. But like you said, right, you're meditating still silently by yourself. You've these growth patterns by yourself. So it doesn't have to end just because you found your person. You're still on this journey together, and you can still find things to inspire in each other and get excited about doing together, learn new things.
I love it. I love it. So we called the episode Dating with Intention, and you brought out, you know, surprises like dating yourself and dating your spouse. I think this episode is so rich in advice. I hope people do seek you out, because I think you bring so much positivity into the world of dating. This has been another episode of Mindful Me. Join us on Facebook, YouTube, and Vimeo. We will be producing more episodes. Thank you so much, Miranda, for
you.
guesting on our show. Thank you, dear audience, for following us, and we will see you on the next episode of Mindful Me with Dr. Marga.